A very good morning to everybody. Welcome back to yet another session of Daily Current Affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Satyanarayan from IQ Ideas. And I bring you important news updates of current affairs from a leading daily newspaper, along with interesting articles which can be read to improve English as a language for reading comprehension, and of course, words of vocabulary to improve overall verbal ability. So, without further ado, let's jump into today's important news headlines. The top of the page says, "Bring to justice all those tied to the Pahalgam attack," says Quad. So, first of all, we already saw yesterday what is the Quad Alliance. The Quad Alliance is a strategic alliance between four countries, which includes the United States of America, Australia, Japan, and obviously India. And the title says that the Quad has said that justice is to be brought to all those tied to the Pahalgam attacks. So the Pahalgam attacks are the dastardly attacks by external forces on the sovereign soil of India, as a response to which India launched Operation Sindoor and did a lot of damage to terrorist outfits. So this news article says that although the joint statement doesn't name perpetrator groups, I quote from the statement: "We condemn in the strongest terms the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir on April 22nd, 2025. We call for the perpetrators, organizers, and financiers of this reprehensible act to be brought to justice without any delay and urge all UN member states to cooperate actively with all relevant authorities." So, a couple of interesting words for vocabulary. One is the word condemn. So, to speak against something in very strong terms is to condemn something. Then we have the word reprehensible, which is something which is worthy of condemnation. So, a very bad act, and if it is worthy of being spoken against, then that's a reprehensible or a dastardly act. The Quad also obliquely refers to China's actions in East China Sea and South China Sea, saying it was opposed to unilateral actions that seek to change the status quo. So, obviously, China, not a member of the Quad and a nation which has issues with a couple of members of the Quad. And China has had a lot of actions, some military in nature, in the East China Sea and the South China Sea. And the Quad has also given a statement against this. From this, we also get a couple of interesting words. One is obliquely, which means not in a straightforward fashion. So when you refer to something but not directly, then you're referring to it obliquely. And we have another interesting term, which is not an English word, a Latin term, which is status quo. So status quo means the current status, right? So to maintain the status quo is to let things be as they are at the current time and not make any changes to it. And below the image, we have Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar speaks at the Quad meet as foreign ministers from Australia, Japan, and US look on. So that's a very interesting article which can be read, and we get a lot of vocabulary terms and news snippets from that. The next news says the Dalai Lama reveals succession plan. It needs our approval, says China. No one has the authority to meddle, he says. So from here we can get the information that it is the Dalai Lama who is the head of the Tibetans, right? And the 14th Dalai Lama turned 90 years on July 6th, and he addressed the Tibetan Religious Conference. So this says that the Gaden Phodrang Trust, founded by him, has the sole authority to recognize the future reincarnation. Okay, so reincarnation, what does that particular term mean? So reincarnation is the belief that a person is reborn, right? A person dies but is again reborn. So that is a reincarnation. And the religious belief in a lot of religions is that certain heads or certain important personalities or deities are reincarnated or reborn. And of course, China does not have. China has a lot of issues with the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama's government in exile is of course in India. I think it is somewhere near Dharamsala up north. So in this message to China, which has been insisting that it would choose the successor, the 14th Dalai Lama has said no one else has any such authority to interfere in this matter. So definitely an interesting news to be read and to be followed in the long term. Other than that, we have a lot of local news and crime related news which I would not be following in detail. Okay, moving on to the city page, we have news regarding crimes, updates, and weather related infrastructural problem updates which can be ignored. The next city page also has a lot of information about local crimes, which is not interesting. But there is one particular news on the third page on the right, which is schools of excellence with more autonomy is proposed. Great. Let's just read the headline. It says the Gujarat government has prepared a proposal to establish schools of excellence (SOE), wherein 1% of the state's 20,000 secondary schools will be developed into SOEs by offering them greater autonomy in free structuring and academic planning. Government and government aided secondary schools are not mentioned in the current notification. The proposal also grants these self financed secondary schools partial exemption from the state's Fee Regulation Act of 2017. Okay. Just seems to be an interesting article, but not for long term memory. The next is again the city page, which is again filled with local interest news, nothing of national importance. The state news also seems to have a lot of human interest pieces, crime related pieces, nothing of importance. We move on to the nation page next. Okay, the nation page, the two big articles on this page is again related to the two news articles we already saw, the Quad Alliance meeting and the Dalai Lama. So the Quad related news is the Quad moves to loosen China's rare earths grip and launches drive to secure and diversify supply chains. So amid shared concerns about China's control of critical minerals, Quad announced a key critical minerals initiative to diversify and secure supply chains, looking to reduce reliance on China. That would lead to economic coercion, price manipulation, and disruptions. Okay. So obviously, geopolitical news of importance. We come across the word coercion, a legal term where you use illegal means to force someone into an agreement. Then the couple of articles below that, where the important one is how will the next Dalai Lama be chosen? Right. There's a huge shadow of China looming over this, but the article explains, it starts with how was the 14th Dalai Lama chosen, the current Dalai Lama, and then goes on to explain how will the next successor be found. It also gives a view on what does China say on this issue and what role could the India and United States play on this. We have two more articles related to the same, where succession of Dalai Lama friction point in Sino-Indian ties, and Beijing is likely to choose its own successor. And that's it. So the Quad news and the Dalai Lama news have updates on this page as well. So definitely I will recommend that you read both these articles in detail. Moving on to the next page, which is the nation page. Couple of news. One is just health related, where it is more protein and fat in Indians diet, says data. Okay, interesting to read. Maybe a little bit of statistics and math can be done on this, but I don't see as a news of current affairs significance, but a lot of data in numerical form is given. So this particular passage can be used to create a very interesting data interpretation set. There is a soundbite by the Prime Minister who says we'll prioritize Global South during the 5-nation tour. Interesting. And update which says COVID vaccination not linked to sudden death, says center. Okay, interesting, but let's move on. Now we come to my favorite page, which is the middle page. The middle page, uh, the top of the fold article is by Anushka Saxena, who's a writer with Takshashila's Indo-Pacific Studies program. And the article's title is India's Tibet Test. Morally, New Delhi should back Dalai Lama's choice as successor over China's Communist Party compliant pick. But strategically, that may involve costs, and it's a tough call. So, continuing with the theme of the new Dalai Lama, the succession of the religious head, this is an opinion piece on what India should do, but what troubles it may face with one of the superpowers, current superpowers in the world. Below that, we have a question and answer type article where translator and cultural theorist Meenakshi Bharat taught English at Delhi University. She talks to Abhijit Ghosh about her latest book, Hindi Cinema in Pakistan. Okay, so movie buffs, movie fans, and those interested in the relation between culture and geopolitics can definitely read this article entitled Hindi cinema is a major connective space for Indian and Pakistan viewers. Diasporic youngsters watch it together. Interesting. We move on to the three articles to the left. The first one is deadly work. India has the most dangerous factories. Undercounting accidents does nothing to improve safety. Okay, so something related to safety at the workplace, especially in industries. The next, secular, not socialist. Why one word inserted by Mrs. G in Constitution's preamble should be kept, the others dropped. Okay, as you would know, the Indian Constitution's preamble had a lot of specific words: sovereign, socialist, democratic, republic, and so on. And through an amendment, there was changes made. So why Mrs. G, of course, refers to Indira Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister of India. And this is an opinion article on why one of the words should be kept, but the other one should be dropped. And the third is the column Erratica by Bachi Karkaria, a humorous column of Your Tube, My Tube, Ticket to Ride on London Metro. So just for the sake of humor, you can read that one. Next, we have the special page where the article is Small State with a Big Heart, How Mizoram Embraced the Displaced. Okay. This says, wedged between Myanmar and Bangladesh, the northeastern state has provided shelter to at least 40,000 people fleeing political violence and ethnic strife. Okay, so what is ethnic? Anything related to local culture is ethnic, a specific culture, and strife is, of course, problems. There is strife between two communities, there is ill will between two communities. So this article is about how the tiny state of Mizoram is facing one of South Asia's biggest humanitarian challenges in sheltering tens of thousands of displaced persons from two neighboring countries. So that would be Myanmar, erstwhile known as Burma, and Bangladesh. So this particular entire article would definitely be worth reading to get information on, again, geopolitics in the northeast, infiltration of people, as well as people moving away from their countries to secure refuge in our nation. We have the business page next with general information on different economic and business related issues, and people interested in business and economics, business management, and so on can read it. Now we have the nation page, but a lot of these news are just related to crimes, which is not very interesting. The next is the global page. Okay, so the biggest headline is Vietnam to face minimum 20% tariff under Trump deal. President Donald Trump has obviously been in the news over the past few weeks for his tariff related issues with different countries. So this is about Vietnam, and a by article says Japan invokes national interest as tariff talks with US struggle. Interesting. Okay. There is also Trump is again in the news with a small article about Hamas poring over Trump's truce proposal. Okay. And at the bottom left, there is a column, Words Against War, capturing the horrors of conflict. that seems to be an interesting article by the team of the newspaper. Other than that, nothing of great importance. We finally come to the sports page, where Gill marks his turf. The skipper scores second century of the series. Jaiswal contributes 87 on attritional days play. So this is continuing updates on the India-England match happening, and a lot of other articles as well, which give some or the other opinion piece on that. There seems to be a table, the batters with most runs in their first 7 tests versus England. So anything with data like that, I can obviously read with interest, because I can think of a lot of data interpretation math questions which can be prepared using the same. The last page is the sports page again. Wanted new India coach. Under fire, Marquez quits post as football manager after mutual agreement with AIFF. That would be the All India Football Federation. Something related to Wimbledon is at the bottom half of the page. There is an update of the aquatic championships where swimmer Aryan Nehra on 400 meter gold. So Gujarat swimmer Aryan Nehra won 2 gold medals, a silver and a bronze, at the recent 78th Senior National Aquatic Championships in Bhubaneswar. Okay. So that's pretty much the news for today. The two important major headlines which had a lot of coverage, both in terms of news updates and articles, was obviously the Quad Alliance meeting happening. Quad, I reiterate, is the alliance between US, Japan, Australia and India. And the issue of the successor of the current Dalai Lama, who's the 14th Dalai Lama, and the interference of China, which is many perceive as an interference in this issue related to Tibet. So with that, we bring today's session to an end. If you like this session, do hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment below if you want any changes or updates in these daily online live sessions. With that, with this me, Sathya, bringing this session to an end. Wish you all the very best and have a good day.